If one day we go to a place he can't see, will you remove my enslavement mark? She asked earnestly. I'd be happy to do that, because I don't want you to be tied down by anything. You should be free. Perseus smiled. But, she asked again. Perseus remained silent. Even though she kept staring at him, he remained silent. Ivisa's eyes flickered slightly. She couldn't figure out what this man was thinking. I just can't figure it out. Chapter 180 Silence. Is there anything about this that can't be said? After a long silence, Ivisa grabbed Perseus's arm and asked stubbornly. Perseus looked at her. Tell me what your true thoughts are. Ivisa said, her gaze intense. Do you want me to be freed from the slave mark? I really hope you can remove the slavery mark, Perseus said with difficulty, but I also hope you can keep it for a while longer. Don't you think what you're saying is contradictory? Why? There are many contradictions in this world. As for why you asked, I can't say for now, Perseus said. But I assure you, I have absolutely no ill intentions towards you. I know you don't like slave marks, but apart from being a bit ugly and symbolically insulting, it won't affect your normal life, will it? Is that what you think? Ivisa's gaze turned cold. Perseus took a deep breath and held her hand tightly. Believe me, I know how you feel and I understand your feelings, but I really have my own reasons. I will tell you why someday, but not now. I just don't understand. Ivisa frowned slightly. What good would it do you for me to keep the slave mark? Can we skip this topic? I'm a little hungry. I was summoned to the city lord's mansion without having breakfast this morning. Have you eaten? Ivisa's cold expression slowly caused Perseus's forced smile to disappear. What is it that you can't say? Ivisa stared intently at him. What exactly are you worried about? Are you trying to force me? Perseus's gaze turned cold. You're the one who's forcing me, Ivisa said coldly. I've had enough of you always hiding things from me. I thought that after all this time, you would trust me a little more. I trust you more than anyone else, but I absolutely cannot tell you about this. If you want to know anything else, I can tell you everything. Fine. Then tell me now, how do you know my mother and sister are still alive? And how do you know where they are now? Perseus remained silent. Ivisa sneered. With a sigh, Perseus released her hand and looked at her calmly. If you want to remove the enslavement mark, then do so. I will absolutely not stop you. But I can tell you that on the day you remove the enslavement mark, all the agreements we have made, all the things we have agreed to, and all the relationships we have built up will come to an end. Ivia was stunned. Are you threatening me? This is not a threat, just a notification. If you feel you no longer need me, do whatever you want. After speaking calmly, Perseus left the room. After his figure disappeared outside the door, Ivisa stared at that spot for a long time. Perseus still did not trust Ivisa. Strictly speaking, he trusted Ivisa a lot, just as he said, more than anyone else. But coincidentally, the two things she cared about most involved his biggest secret. One reason is that he's a time traveler. Another thing is his cheat code. This was something he had long ago resolved to keep buried deep in his heart, something he would never tell anyone, even if it meant his death. Anyone who tried to explore this would cross his red line. He didn't know what he was insisting on, but this was probably the unspoken rule that a time traveler had to abide by. Everything that exists in this world, no matter how mysterious, little known, or horrifying, is something that originally existed in this world, and even the unidentified Helen is no exception. But time travelers are beings who descend from another world. They are absolute outcasts. Those who have read a lot of time travel stories might think it's no big deal. But from the perspective of an indigenous person, if you put yourself in their shoes, you'll know how much the appearance of such an anomaly will overturn and how much shock and panic it will bring. That's what Perseus was worried about. Panic is the most terrifying thing. It can bring out all the deepest malice buried in a person's heart. For example, people in the Middle Ages burned witches. That overwhelming, hysterical frenzy was chilling. Even though he was convinced that Ivisa, with her personality and character, wouldn't reveal this, he was still unsure whether she would treat him the same way she always had, without harboring any resentment once she found out. He didn't want to take that risk. This risk could have been avoided if we just gritted our teeth and said nothing. If it could be avoided, why not avoid it? What good would it do him to tell her? Would it make Ivisa like him more? Trust him more? Don't be ridiculous. There's absolutely no benefit to it. Why do something that offers absolutely no benefit, only risk or even harm? So he didn't want to do it. It's that simple. Regarding what he had mentioned, he wasn't sure what Ivisa would choose. The relationship they established, and the promises they made. And to remove the mark of slavery, to remove restraint and humiliation, and to restore a flawless and free body. Although he wanted to be optimistic, after today's incident, a rift had formed between the two, so Ivia would most likely choose the latter. This forces him to consider the worst-case scenario. He certainly couldn't stop Ivisa, nor did he want to. Since he hadn't moved the slave seal yet, he must use this time to find someone with considerable strength and potential to establish a relationship. He couldn't find a competitor who could compare to Ivisa, so he had to settle for second best. Although I was extremely unwilling to do about it. He was a seasoned realist and immediately accepted this harsh reality. Next, he had to lower his expectations, but he believed that with what he had now, he could live quite well even without Ivisa. Dominating the world is out of the question, but living a comfortable life surrounded by beautiful women, with no worries about food and drink, and indulging in pleasure is definitely within my reach. In fact, he is already living such a good life. As long as you can maintain a relatively friendly relationship and not become enemies, you won't have to worry about being easily killed by her in the future. However, the only problem is such days will not be with her. That's for sure, because that's another timeline without her. But can he really make this choice willingly and without regret? No, Ivisa. Throughout the journey,